Yes, indeed. Welcome into a live episode of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. It is weird to come at you live at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on a Monday, but it is President's Day, and we've got Four Nations face-off hockey today. We've got a puck drop between Canada and Finland here coming up in a few minutes, and then USA-Sweden tonight. We'll talk all about that. That over there is at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. And Jared, been quite the hockey weekend here. It's for once hockey's taking the cake in the headlines.
Yeah, nothing gets more American on this President's Day than Canada-Finland at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. So there's that. And I get to start off the show today saying something I rarely ever say. And usually I rarely say this just because of the obvious. I'm always right. I was wrong. I was wrong. The Four Nations has been far more entertaining than, frankly, it has any business being. And I've been thoroughly entertained watching these hockey games the last couple days. And leave it to Gary Bettman to stumble into something successful. And I'm sure the next step for the NHL will be to milk it for all it's worth until that teat is run dry, a la the Winter Classic.
And here's another thing, too, and who knows what the landscape is going to be the next time they bring this around, because they said they're going to do like a World Cup in 2028 with more countries and stuff like that. The USA Canada, like the political backdrop absolutely added to that, which I don't know if we'll ever get that like perfect storm again in terms of like, just the. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised that the game started with the fight. I was surprised it started with 3 fights in 9 seconds. Like once Tkachuk went, I was like, all right, fine. Like Matthew went, I should say. Okay, that makes sense. Hagel wasn't going to say no. And then when Brady did it, I'm like, all right, he's not going to not fight if his brother just went out and did it. But then like when JT Miller went, I was like, oh, okay, like here we go. But it's been, I've always loved international hockey because it like, people will say like, and it's true, when you wear your country sweater, it is entirely different than, I'm sure Sidney Crosby gets a certain feeling putting on the Penguins jersey on after all these years, but it doesn't compare to putting on his Team Canada sweater. It's just that kind of thing. And the hockey is delivered. Like if this is the replacement to the All-Star game, I don't know if they can do this every year. Maybe, you have the Olympics every 4 years, and then halfway in between you do a World Cup, and maybe you do the All-Star game in those odd years. I don't know, but it's going to be tough to match the intensity that happened this weekend, and that's going to happen this week.
I think they still need to escape it relatively injury-free. I mean, like I know we lost. I know Canada/Vegas lost Shea Theodore, and you could already tell that's going to be I guess we'll just put him on shelf until game 83, game 1 of the playoffs. We'll see, and we'll use that $7 million in LTIR. So there's that. But most teams, how very convenient. But most teams don't operate in that manner. But like. I think you still want to see what injuries actually kind of come out of this with, how, I mean, the players care. Like they clearly give a shit, which you need that level of buy-in from the players to make this a success. But with that comes, players being banged up. And like Matthew Tkachuk's not going to play tonight because he's dealing with lower body injuries. So
I think if this game mattered to US, Matthew Tkachuk probably plays. I think this is just like, hey, you've got a tweak. There's no benefit to playing today. We'll see you Thursday kind of thing. And Cale Makar is going to go for Canada today. He had missed the last game, but he's going to give it a go here with Canada's season on the line against Finland with puck drop in 15 minutes. But yeah, I mean, there is that factor because it's, one thing, people say the NBA All-Star game, nobody plays defense, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's also getting injured either. Whereas if you saw some of the hits in that USA-Canada game, I mean, that had hits that were, game 7 of the Stanley Cup level. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Right. And that was definitely a concern watching that game, especially with the Tkachuks. I don't even want to say it was like fake machismo or whatever, but like it just goes noted that like the Tkachuks are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to mix it up. Of course, they pick fights with guys smaller than them because that's what they do. That's what bullies do, so it kind of is what it is. So but I mean, I can't say it wasn't entertaining watching that on Saturday night. I'd be disingenuous if I tried claiming that.
Well, we're glad to have you on the international hockey train now. It's something that you didn't like necessarily. I'm not gonna say didn't like, but just wasn't your thing in the past. Now you're in. Now you get it. So Thursday night should be great. Now we're here to rip some packs today. Going to do a live watch of the first period of Canada-Finland here in a little bit here once they get the puck going there and they get through all their pregame ceremonies. But let's see what we're going to be ripping here today. Let's bring it up on the screen there. And I'm going to be going with, I got some baseball. We got some 1996 Pinnacle Baseball there. Rookies, not an impressive class, Levon Hernandez, but you get all the, we're looking for the Cal Ripken tribute. I would love to pull one of the Christy Brinkley collection. We'll probably never say that phrase again on this show is Brinkley line. And then a few others there. And then, of course, we're live watching hockey. So we got to do some hockey packs here. I went out and got a hobby box of 2024-25 artifacts. We'll do a few packs of that. Not a great look rookies in this set. Carter Gauthier, maybe Logan Stankoven, but nobody crazy there. But Jared, you got some good ones in your hockey pack for today.
Yeah, we've done these before, the 2020-21 Hockey Allure cards. It's basically, if I remember right, this is Upper Deck's answer to like the Panini Mosaic cards for the NHL, which you know how I love the look and aesthetic of those cards. So I'm very much excited for that.
Me too. Now, anytime we do a lot of hockey, like it's just that those are always the shows I like the most. But so we got a little bit of time before puck drop here. We can get baseball out of the way. We talk some Four Nation face-off. Did you pay any attention to the NBA All-Star game this weekend?
None. Couldn't have been any less interested.
I mean, it's just I don't know what they're gonna do. Maybe they need. I saw somebody throw out like they should do like the way the NHL used to do North America versus the world or something like that. They need to do something like that to put some.
They did that. They did that a few years ago, and nobody cared. Yeah, they did like a USA versus the world. They've tried every sort of gimmick or whatever you can come up with to sort of spice up the All-Star game, and nothing's really worked. And it's not a good look when Adam Silver's basically telling the players before the game, "Hey, can you guys try? Can you at least put in a little bit of an effort?" And the players are like, "Nope, we're gonna do our little 40-point game here, a little 8-man team, and we're gonna get on out of here." And also, probably not a great look that they're playing these games, and in the middle of it, they literally stop the game for 20 minutes to do a eulogy for inside the NBA on TNT, a show that's not going away, by the way. Like inside the, TNT might be losing the NBA rights, but inside the NBA is still going to exist in some form.
And it's still going to exist for like another 3 or 4 months. It's not like, this is like the penultimate one. Like, all right, it's close enough to the end. Let's do something. It's like you've got the rest of the regular season and the playoff coverage. Like, what are we doing here?
It's unbelievable.
And the thing too is like, I kind of had to keep an eye on it for the other job, and like you could see, what was it? That 40 point was the target point. Nobody did anything for like the first 25 points, and then they'd actually buckle down and play for like 15 points worth of action. And it's just like, I don't know. It's broken. And I don't know how you fix it, especially in this day and age. I mean, I guess baseball probably has the best all-star game format because it's the closest thing to the real one, even with like the roster, you got to play this guy. Everybody's got to play and all that other stuff. But I think that's probably the best of all the four.
You could tell me get rid of all-star games in general, and not only would I be fine with it, I think the players would be fine with it too. Like you can name the all-star team because like all that stuff's written in the contracts. Like if you make an all-star team, you get a $500,000 bonus or whatever. I have no problem naming an all-star team, but I think the players themselves would appreciate the players don't want to be in this all-star game, this exhibition. Like they want to go sit on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean or Turks and Caicos or wherever and just, enjoy a couple days off. And, it is kind of a bummer for like, the players in the Four Nations, like I get they all sign up for this, but like, it is kind of a bummer for them that like, they're all doing this tournament. And then like, 2 of the teams are going home tomorrow. As soon as the round robin play ends. And by the way, tomorrow is the day that NHL teams return to practice. So get ready for that bag skate at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
And that's the thing. Like pretty much everybody will get a break except the 2 teams that played in the championship, because then this season starts right up against Saturday. So they'll play the championship game Thursday. All the players will wake up that are left, and they'll go fly to wherever their next game is, and it's business as usual for them. So. The baseball all-star game to me, like, what the thing with the all-star games is they used to have value. Like for me growing up, I didn't have cable. So one of the only hockey games I got to see all years was the NHL All-Star game. And I think of that era before you were able to get every game streamed, watch 8 games at once, all that stuff, it was more of an event. It was to see guys that you didn't get a chance to see, like, and in New York, even if you had cable, maybe you don't see Wayne Gretzky all that often because he's playing at 10 o'clock at night, in Edmonton or LA or whatever era we're talking about. The All-Star game gave you a chance to watch a guy like that. You don't I agree that there should be a small break in season. Maybe you want to name an All-Star team. I mean, half the time these guys get named to the All-Star team and they don't show up and it's replacement after replacement. But then you also have the All-Pro teams at the end of the year. So if you're going to do away with the game, then maybe just do away with it altogether.
More and more people are indeed saying this.
Like I get I'm not against the idea of a mid-season break. Why not? Figure out a way to do it. Now we still got about 7 minutes till puck drop here. You want to do a little baseball while we wait for the puck to drop there?
Yeah, let's see if we get the Christy Brinkley poll.
That's what we're looking for here is the Christy Brinkley. I don't know if there's an actual Christy Brinkley card, but she has her line of cards. Never knew she was into baseball cards. Good for her.
Did she pick that up when she dated Billy Joel in the 80s?
I could see Billy Joel being a card collector. I could see
and Billy Joel definitely took her to a Mets game at some point. They probably sat in the luxury suite and
maybe ripped a pack of 92 upper deck, something like that. All right, so we're gonna have some bricking in this pack here. We start off with a prospect that never truly panned out, but a sharp-looking Florida Marlins jersey there, Nigel Wilson.
That is a sharp-looking Marlins jersey. Unfortunately for Nigel, his playing career didn't quite pan out the way he was hoping.
Now, this is a guy that you love to talk about because you are a pro-steroid era guy. Here he is, Mark McGwire. And this looks like it is the Naturals insert set there. So that's a good one. Nice Mark McGwire card.
That's pretty funny that it's the Naturals insert, considering he didn't really take off until it was all unnatural. But the single season home run king before Barry Bonds. So shout out to him.
It's like when Subway says fresh, fresh, fresh. I'm like, no, none of those ingredients are fresh. Stop it. We all know the truth.
I mean, some of the veggies might be fresh.
Now we got here. This is one of my favorite utility infielder corner guys that was just not a heralded guy, but Ron Coomer. Remember him?
I very well remember Ron Coomer. I couldn't tell you much about from his playing career, but solid pro for very many years. Very many years is not really the way you should say it, but I couldn't think of a proper way to eloquently put that.
I think it works. We're going through the anthems here. Probably won't be any booing of either of these today. We're going to live watch and do some hockey as soon as the puck drops. They're just killing some time.
Actually, do you mind if I put? I can't really put the volume on to see if they're booing the Canadian national anthem because this game is in Boston, so turnabout might be fair play.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that the series has shifted to Boston now. So
I got Twitter open. So if anyone does boo the Canadian national anthem, I'll find out soon enough.
Now, here's a guy that was decent with the Mets, but found his career with the Giants. Jeff Kent.
Jeff Kent should have gotten into the Hall of Fame. It's a disgrace that he didn't. He
was a good ball player. He's and at second base too. He gave you power at second base, which was not common of his era.
I know Doggy likes to say this all the time, and I completely agree. I know the advanced stats say he wasn't all that great defensively. I can't recall Jeff Kent being a debacle in the field.
Yeah, there's no there was no Jeff Kent play. Ray Ordonez was a fantastic defensive infielder, but sometimes he would try to do too much and take a routine play and botch it. I don't remember Kent really doing that.
Right, and it's not like a Chuck Knobloch situation where he couldn't throw the ball in first place.
And then hit Keith Olbermann's mom. She ended up being okay, but that's got to be scary. Baseball coming at you from a second baseman. Phil Plantier there, picture with the Padres. A few more to go on this pack here. And I do like the look of these cards. For a 1996 card with that gold triangle at the bottom, it's a sharp-looking card there. We got Travis Fryman, the Detroit Tigers, good third baseman in his day. Yeah,
a long-time Detroit Tiger there. Very good player.
Getting close to puck drop in Boston. We're going to live watch and do some hockey cards there. We got coming up here. We're going to finish the pack strong. We got another from the Naturals here. One of the best defensive infielders of our childhood, Jim Edmonds.
Jordan Binnington got booed out of the building during the introductions, by the way.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and by the way, the goal he let in the other night, the first goal, and professional hockey goalie has to make that save 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000. I'm sorry. I understand it's top tier talent. Like, no, that is as soft as goal as it comes in right there. Let's see here. We got 2 more cards to go. These are going to be some heavy hitters, literally and figuratively here. They're base cards, but they're good to look at here. We got Chipper Jones, the Atlanta Braves.
Hall of Famer, legend. What else can you say about Chipper Jones? And I know we completely glossed over Jim Edmonds, one of the all-time great defensive center fielders of his era.
And Chipper Jones, just throwing strays at Mets. I mean, to name your son Shea after where you were
That
most
rocks.
prolific.
I love it.
I mean, that's perfect. Like, there you go. And it's not like, oh, like he named his son like Arrowhead after Arrowhead Stadium. Like, Shea is an actual name. It just worked perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some Major League players named Shea, like Shea Hillenbrand.
Shea Hillenbrand. There you go. And now we got, actually, there was a little bit of brooking there. So we got 2 cards to go here. This one, enjoyed his tenure with the Yankees. Mr. Darryl Strawberry.
It would really piss off Met fans if I tried to claim a true Yankee for Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know he got his, he got rings with, he was on the 86 Mets team, right? He was on that team.
He was on the 86 Mets, but I think he won more rings with the Yankees because he was on quite a few of those Yankees.
And he came back post cancer too with the Yankees, right? Didn't he like leave and come back or something like that? Like, and he had he did well for the Yankees while he was there. I mean, listen,
he won 2 rings with the Yankees. He was on the 96. He really should have won 3 rings with the Yankees because he was on the 96, 99, and 98 teams.
There you go.
Yeah, Baseball Reference is weird. I learned this the other day when I was driving a car. Sometimes they don't list your World Series championships if you didn't play in the World Series in any particular year. So I bet one of those World Series he was left off the playoff roster, probably when he was dealing with his personal issues.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough to recall with the Yankees in the late 90s because everything is just a blur and it all kind of like blends together. So, and we were just so spoiled as a fan base.
You had a lot of like the Chili Davises and Darryl Strawberries of the world coming in and out towards that late 90s. Who was the designated hitter? Who was the first outfielder off the bench? All that stuff. So, good era to be a Yankee fan. Maybe we'll get back to there someday. And we close the pack. Sammy Sosa, slamming Sammy. That's a good shot right there. This is a good pack. This was a good pack.
Yeah, I mean, look, this pack delivered in the terms of we wanted some star power, and we certainly got that. And you got McGuire and Sosa. Ironically, a couple of years before McGuire and Sosa was the summer of '98, which saved baseball. It only took performance enhancing drugs to save the sport. So
that's all.
Shout out to that.
Just some needles and some PEDs, just good old fashioned stuff there. Now we are about to have the puck drop there. Are we surprised they go back to Binnington and not to Aiden Hill?
Yeah, because I don't know, Binnington stinks. I mean, they by the way, there were some boos for O Canada. Not quite as vociferous as the U.S. The other night against Canada, but there were some there. Canada screwed up the whole roster selection with the goaltenders. I don't understand why they just didn't wait like another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatnot. And I get there's probably an NHL deadline there that you have to deal with, but I mean, Logan Thompson should have been on this team, and it feels kind of weird that he's not on the team because why? He doesn't get along with Pete DeBoer and Bruce Cassidy from their time in Vegas. Grow up.
And if you're building a team for a season, that absolutely has merit. But we're talking about a week and a half tournament in 3 games. I understand, in the locker room, blah blah blah. They're adults. They can figure out how to play with somebody they don't get along with for 3 hockey games. 4 if you're lucky. You know what I mean? It's not this is not a season-long thing where it could become, be problematic in a locker room. It's for guys. I feel like everybody's mature enough there that, okay, maybe I don't love Logan Thompson. Maybe I wouldn't go get a beer with him after the game, but he's playing the best goaltending of anybody in Canada right now, and we want to win a tournament. So let's put our differences aside for a couple of weeks. That's it.
And like, I'm not sure I blame Logan Thompson for being, I'm not even saying like he's a jerk or he's a curmudgeon or whatnot, but like, we're talking about a guy who got traded during the draft last year in Vegas in the middle of an autograph signing.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Like he literally got informed as he was like at a team, not just like signing autographs, but like the team had him at a table doing that kind of thing,
Right. But like, I mean, we're also talking about a Vegas organization that has a track record of unceremoniously dumping guys when they're no longer of value to them.
Yeah, I mean, hey, but you know what? They got a cup. They've been in the playoffs every year but one since they've come into the league. So I mean, they did get a head start, but nonetheless, we're about a minute and a half in here. It looks like Canada is coming out quick here and putting the pressure on Finland. Let's do some hockey here. We got some artifacts. Let's hopefully get a nice artifact here. See what we get. We're gonna do a few packs here. Let's see what we got. Just base so far in this one. We start off with a Philip Kurashev Blackhawks card there. Chicago, a lot of us thought that nobody thought they would make the playoffs this year, but we thought maybe there would be a little bit of an improvement there year two. Connor Bedard catching some strays from maybe not strays, but Paul Bissonnette calling him out and stuff like that. Just not been a great year in Chicago.
I get Paul Bissonnette is paid to talk. Paul Bissonnette should keep his mouth shut when it comes to Colin Bedard. Like there's nothing there to work with. Like I don't know what you really expect of a 19-year-old kid who's, fairly or unfairly has been basically anointed as the franchise because like he's the guy there. There's not really anything else there. I mean, they have some other high picks, but like, the Blackhawks are going to go as far as Connor Bedard winds up taking them. So. And it's probably not fair to judge a player on a bad hockey team in year two.
Sweet breakaway move there by Braden Point. Canada has come to play. They are not messing around early. They are bringing the heat early. We got a guy who is now retired, but certainly has quite the career. Had quite the career. Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, we've talked about Pavelski a lot in the show when he's come up. He's legendary is a bit strong, but he had a very good career, and really like a two-part career because obviously the whole San Jose Sharks stuff, and then the last few years in Dallas, he was great.
I'd put him up there as one of the best American hockey players of all time because I mean he was Captain America. He embodied the way the Americans play the game, all that stuff. You want to get a Sharks fan riled up. Talk about how they spent the money on Erik Karlsson and not for Pavelski, because at that point people thought Pavelski, due to his style of play, was probably going to be on the decline, and instead he went on to Dallas for another couple of years and just kept tipping pucks in front of the net and being a power play force. We got Caden Gould here from the Montreal Canadiens, and then we got a couple of decent players here to close the first pack. We got Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken, who seems to be coming into his own this year. Helps that Capo Caco sometimes flanks him. Those two seem to be playing well.
Yeah, it's funny what happens when you put Capo Caco in a top line situation with a playmaking center and in a position to succeed.
So wait, you're supposed to take a guy that you drafted second overall so assuming he's got some offensive talents and you don't play him in the bottom six on a regular basis, not just once in a while or changing something. No, you're supposed to play him in the top six. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works out, but I don't know. It's neither here nor there.
There's no school for my kid today, but I'm getting some education here. That's for sure. And we close out the first pack with a guy who's playing right now, Mr. Josh Morrissey.
Yeah, I feel like Morrissey's had a solid tournament so far.
Morrissey's he's unless you're a Winnipeg Jet fan or like a hardcore hockey fan, he gets overlooked. But when you talk about all around defensemen that can bring everything, Morrissey's in that group. All right, about 16:06 to go here, at least on my end of the country, with to go in the first period. Still scoreless. Canada coming out heavy early. All right, let's see what we got in this pack here. Looks like we got the recently traded JT Miller, pictured as a Vancouver Canuck for the last time.
Yeah, not quite a last card for JT Miller. And by the way, it looks like Canada's on the scoreboard. I think Connor McDavid just scored, so it's 1-0 Canada.
You are very ahead of me, by the way, and I am live. Like I'm on a cable box and I'm live, and like I'm not like delayed.
But all right, so I'll try to lay off on the updates. Yeah, Finland had a turnover basically in the defensive zone, and Yeah, I'm watching the replay
So,
right now.
so the turnover just happened right there. McDavid gets it on the blue line, goes in the corner, dangles, fires it on the net. There it is, 1-0 Canada. They're gonna. If you took them on the puck line, you were smart today. Canada's gonna blow them out.
Yeah, Finland just doesn't have the blue line to keep up with them, and looks like Finland started Kevin Lankinen in net again. By the way, which interesting decision there. I don't know if I agree with it.
Here's the other thing too. Finland got their win. They beat their big rival. You talk about USA Canada. Finland Sweden is the Scandinavian equivalent of USA Canada, and Finland got their big win. They pretty much put Sweden out of the tournament, and you knew you were going to get Canada playing desperate hockey today. So there was very few reasons for me to think Finland could upset here. I was Canada puck line, and the over is looking good there. Now we're talking about all around good defensemen. He's hurt right now. Not the best season for the Islanders, even with the winning streak there, but there's no Dobson.
Yeah, and it's bizarre. There's been these reports that the Islanders might trade Noah Dobson, which is very weird because they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the blue line right now in general. And I'm not going to give you a live update, but something did just happen in the hockey game, so I think you'll be pleased with it. Yeah. So if the Islanders wind up trading Dobson, can we just go ahead and just put Lou out to pasture? What are you doing?
That meme of let's get you to bed, grandma. That's Lou if he trades Noah Dobson. You have no presence on the blue line, but your top defenseman, who finished second in the Norris Trophy last year, is a borderline. And there we go. It's 2-0 Canada. Yeah, Canada is gonna. This game might be over before we get off of RipNRiff today. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless you can, unless you're saying, okay, fine, we know the Islanders' winning streak is we know that's not really them. If you're really just saying we're going to blow this thing up, then yes, move Dobson. But blow it up then. Don't just trade your cornerstone defenseman and then nobody else. If you're going to go that path, go that path.
But what are you going to get for Noah Dobson? That's the other thing. He's a young defenseman. He still has a few years to control. You're not trading him for a rental scoring winger, right? What are you in theory getting for him? If you wanted to tell me that Noah Dobson would have been a piece in trying to get JT Miller, I would disagree with that trade, but I could kind of see it. It's all right, you're getting a top 6 center at least who's under team control for 5 more years or whatever it is. So at least that I kind of get, but this is just the problem with the Islanders is Lou Lamoriello has no track record of selling at the deadline. And they are close enough to a playoff spot where I don't see why this year would be any different. So, I think it's more likely they sign Brock Nelson to a 6-year contract extension and make an Islander for life. I think it's more likely they extend Kyle Palmieri for a couple of years.
And that goes back to the timing. If you had said before the 8-game losing streak, the Islanders are kicking around moving Dobson, I'd be all right, fine, that kind of makes sense. But after winning 7 in a row and looking like you might actually have a chance at stealing that last playoff spot, I don't know. Just the timing don't make sense. Let's see here as Canada's up 2-0, a little over 5 minutes into the first period there against Finland. There's Blake Coleman, picture with the Flames, and we got 2 minutes.
Yeah, definitely a big Blake Coleman guy. I kind of wish he wasn't on such a bad contract because he's a guy who probably should be moved at some point in the next year or so, and he would certainly bring a lot to a team's bottom 6, but he's just a little too expensive for that role.
You'd have to, somebody would have to, or you'd have to get a third team involved to maybe absorb some cap space there, or to get the deal done. We do have our first rookie pull here. This is a Jesper Wallstedt card for the Minnesota Wild. It's going to probably be him and Gustafson once Fleury retires, and then maybe depending on they trade one of those guys or if they want to go to 50-50 share, but nice parallel there.
Yeah, very nice card there. I'm not sure how much I buy Wallstedt as the goalie of the future there, but I mean, we shall see.
And then we close pack number 2 with a Utah Hockey Club card, just the logo, nothing else, but Nick Schmaltz.
Yeah, the Utah hockey card and Nick Schmaltz. Nick Schmaltz picture there with his Arizona Coyotes gear, which I'm not gonna lie, seeing that jersey again, I kind of missed the Kachina jersey.
No, the Kachina jerseys are great. The white ones I thought were better than the darks for the Kachinas, but that's just a class. That's one of the lost looks for the NHL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually they'll put another team in Arizona.
I don't think so. And I just figured that I just learned this last night. So when the Coyotes moved to Utah, so the Vegas Golden Knights used to have the state of Utah and the state of Wyoming in their like footprint. When they moved to Utah, they lost those two states. So now that's Utah Hockey Club broadcast territory, but they gained Arizona. So if they're already putting Vegas Golden
You think
Knights
Vegas will claim territorial rights?
Vegas has claimed territorial rights on Arizona now that it is gone. So they don't televise Utah. They are televising Utah hockey. So they lost Utah. They lose Utah, obviously. They lose Wyoming, not a huge state, but it's still part of their footprint. Now Vegas gets the Arizona one out of it. So
I guess my thing is the NHL has been so, come hell or high water, air hockey's going to succeed in Arizona. Like, to me, like talking about territorial rights, that's not something that like, here's a check, Vegas. Like, just shut up and we're putting the team in Arizona. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure they can find a way to work it out.
I'm not saying that Vegas is saying, no, you can't put a team there. I think that giving Vegas the footprint in Arizona already is an indication that like that door is closing. That's what I think. Because you wouldn't do that so quick if you thought, oh, the Coyotes have a chance to come back. I think that's as much as they're trying to drive that square peg in the round hole. I think they finally have learned. It's just, you got Houston on the radar. You got Atlanta all of a sudden is potentially going to get, over the last year or so, they talk about them getting a third crack at an NHL team. Like, whatever. Last pack of Upper Deck artifacts here. We start off with Sean Couturier, good center in his day, at his peak. Maybe not what he used to be, but still a good player.
Yeah, solid player.
And then we got a Patrick Kane parallel there with the Detroit Red Wings.
Still a weird look for me seeing Patrick Kane in anything other than a Blackhawks jersey.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Blackhawk. It doesn't matter what he is. He's always going to be a Blackhawk. 3 more cards to go here. Guy who's not playing in the tournament. Guy not playing today, but definitely had a big impact for Team USA. Jacob Slavin.
Yeah, probably their best overall defenseman in terms of certainly a defensive impact on the game.
And when I've mentioned in the past about we need a defensive defenseman award, that is a guy who would be in the a finalist every year. That is a guy that's not the award for Erik Karlssons and like those guys in the world. That's a guy right there that would win that award a lot, and he's had an impact for Team USA. Now here's a guy that isn't playing in the tournament because it's only 4 nations, but would absolutely be having an impact if he was here, Mr. David Pastrnak.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Czech team doesn't have enough NHL players to field an entirely NHL lineup, which is part of the reason why they're not in this tournament.
And I understand why Russia couldn't be in it, but I actually did this on Total Hockey Now. You can form a pretty formidable Team Europe team that maybe wouldn't be strong in the crease, and blue line would be but they'd be pretty strong up front. Leon Draisaitl start right there. All the Swiss players. Nico Hischier, Timo Meyer, the Chechen players like Pastrnak, Slovakia. You got enough there to really form a good team.
Yeah, but are the players going to care as much when they're playing for Team Europe as opposed to like their actual country? That's the thing. Like, Germany is not the Czech Republic.
Yeah,
Switzerland is not Slovenia. So,
and that's why it worked in the 2016 World Cup, because you also had the Team North America, which was like the Young Guns team kind of. So like you already had one other thing in there that wasn't. Now you're just playing to win for your team. It wasn't a country pride, but I get that. We'll see what happens with the World Cup in 2028 and see if they hopefully Russia's back in the mix, because I understand the political stuff, but they are one of the best teams on the planet. They would be up there with USA and Canada if they were in this tournament. So they would have the best goaltending, bar none. Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, Shesterkin, and Sorokin doesn't even make the cut.
Yeah, and to me, it just seems silly to keep continuing to punish the Russian hockey team because of what their president's doing. So,
yeah, I mean, at a certain point, let's get them back in the tournament. Last card here. Speaking of Russian players, a guy who would have absolutely made a 5 nations team for Russia, Kirill Marchenko.
Yep. So, good packs, good cards.
We still got a few more of those to do another time. So we haven't pulled the artifact yet, so it's still in the box. It's still in that hobby box behind me.
Very nice. Sorry to yawn in your face just now. I don't know why I did that, but I'm going to rip this pack right now.
Let's do it.
All right. So we love these Allure hockey cards. And we're going to start with a player who hasn't really done much in the Four Nations, but he is certainly is playing and certainly is capable of having an impact on the game. Brad Marchand.
Yeah, there's been that talk about how they're actually in Montreal. He's actually getting cheers instead of boos for once. So that's always interesting. But Marchand's just one of those impact players. It doesn't matter how old he is; he always finds a way to have an impact.
Do you think the Bruins would actually trade him at the deadline?
If you're giving, I mean, that's basically saying we're not trying to go to the playoffs if you give up a guy like that, and that's two reasons why it's not going to sit well with the fan base. I don't know if you can. I mean, like, you already had the PR disaster with Jeremy Swayman in the beginning of the year. I don't know about that.
Right. Because, like, I don't think Boston – I'm not entirely sure Boston's a playoff team. And, like, Boston's traded so many picks and futures and whatnot to try to win another cup in this run. If you're trading Brad Marchand, if you're trading your captain, you're basically saying this run's over.
Right.
Because he is a pending UFA at the end of the year. I'm sure they'd sign him but they haven't signed him yet. That's the other thing too, is he's however old he is, 36 or whatnot. Like, he's not getting any younger. So if you put him on the market, like, someone will give you a first round pick and something else for him, like, because Brad Marchand's a big game player. He's a playoff style player. He's a pest. He'll get under the other team's skin. So, like, I definitely think he probably should be traded if Boston wanted to go in that direction, but that's a tough sell.
It's a tough sell, and you pretty much can't deal him within the Atlantic Division. Cannot. It has to go. He has to go to one of the other three divisions. You can't deal him.
Yeah, probably
no matter what Toronto might offer, no matter what Tampa might offer, you can't trade him to like one of those teams.
I mean, can we just fast forward to like 3 weeks from now when Vegas takes the LTIR money from Shane Theodore and they trade for Brad Marchand? They trade a first round pick and whoever their number 2 prospect is because they don't care.
Yeah,
that is such a Vegas move right there. And by the way, Cassie's the coach there, so
listen. I put nothing by Vegas. They know how to do what they got to do at the deadline, and yeah, that's actually a scary good fit, Marchand in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm sorry I kind of spoke into existence there, but I mean, if I did, we can go ahead and we can clip this and we give me my flowers in 3 weeks. Tyler Seguin with the Dallas Stars, not participating in this tournament. Hopefully he's enjoying his week off.
Well, he's been injured, so we'll see if he comes back in time for the playoffs with Dallas. I mean, listen, they're still humming along, and not to say they're okay without Tyler Seguin, because they're deep, but like you don't want to miss a guy like Seguin out of your lineup either if you're a Stanley Cup contender, which they are.
A nice rookie card here, and he's certainly been in the news with how he got the call up to Team Canada. Thomas Harley, defenseman with the Dallas Stars. So that's a very nice card there.
Got to play the other night with illness to Cal McCarr, but McCarr back in the lineup here about halfway through the first period. Canada still up 2-0 on Finland. Seems to have settled down a bit.
Yep. Ryan Getzlaff, the now retired former captain of the Anaheim Ducks.
Him and Mark Messier also go into the Hall of Fame of guys who needed to shave their heads sooner than they did.
Austin Matthews might be joining that hall.
Soon.
He's on his way.
They're already sending him like the initial paperwork in the mail. Like, hey, you should fill this out.
Nice variant card here. Anthony Mantha with the Detroit Red Wings.
It's a nice card, but I mean, talk about a guy who fell off and never really quite lived up to expectations.
Yep, and since we've been talking a lot of international hockey, perhaps the greatest Slovenian player of them all, Ante Kopitar.
Yeah, I mean, the competition's not strong in terms of Slovenian hockey players, but yes, Kopitar, the best of all time, and I'm going to say it, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. At me if you don't think so. The guy did was be a top line 200-foot center that produced offensively, captained 2 Stanley Cup teams, was a fixture in the West. Like, he's first ballot.
Also, kind of interesting that Slovenia turns out like 2 of the biggest athletes in the world between Ante Kopitar and Luka Doncic.
I mean, I guess they're quality over quantity. That's the argument there.
You know what? I appreciate that approach. I would go quantity over quality as well. You can say the same thing, I guess, with Serbia with Nikola Jokic, but I don't know of any really good Serbian hockey players. So we'll have to.
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Let's see. You mentioned you pulled this player in one of your packs, Philip Kurashev, rookie card there with the Chicago Blackhawks. We don't need to elaborate too much further on him. Another rookie card here, P.O. Joseph with the Penguins, who left the Penguins and now is back with the Penguins because Kyle Dubas loves making 8 billion minor trades over the course of the season.
It's like he's got an addiction. Like if he goes like 6 days without making a trade, it's like I got to do something. Gotta make a move.
He's scratching his neck like Dave Chappelle in the old skit. It's like,
did I miss the 5 o'clock free crack giveaway? Oh, man.
A City Selly card here with Brendan Gallagher.
I like that.
Yeah, I guess that's a nice shot at downtown Montreal there.
I haven't been to Montreal in like 20-something years. I got to get back there. Beautiful city.
Let's see. Elvis Merzlikins card here.
Columbus is going to be an interesting team to watch down the stretch because they're hanging around that wild card picture. And they haven't really had like such a slump yet where you're like, okay, that's the real Blue Jacket team. Like they're hanging around. And they don't have Monahan.
Yeah, I'm not really buying. I'm going to pull up the Eastern Conference standings right now just to take a look at it.
I think they're a good story that hangs around the playoff picture into that final couple of weeks and then fades. But yeah, I think they're that last wild card spot. Literally, like,
and they also lost 4. They lost 4 games in a row going into the break as well. So the break came at a good time from the reset.
I mean, if you look at the Eastern Conference, like that last spot could really go to basically anybody, but like what Pittsburgh, Philly,
If I'm betting on anybody in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to bet on the Rangers just because the talent's still there. I know they've made some moves throughout the year, but they've played better since they could have played any worse in November and December. They've played pretty well since the turn of the new year. And if they're close, they're going to add. And they have some extra draft picks. They have some cap space to play with. They're gonna go out and try to at least get at least one playoff round. I mean, maybe they get their doors blown off by Washington in the first round. So be it. Like, I think at this point, the Rangers just be happy just getting into the tournament.
Considering the way the season's gone, I don't know if they'd be happy just to get there. But yeah, I could see like, all right, they get into the playoffs. Maybe they steal around. Oh, I don't think they could steal around from any of the other metropolitan teams, but we'll see what they do at the deadline. If they make some upgrades on the blue line, JT Miller's only had a small handful of games there. I'm sure like once he gets really settled in, they're going to, after the All-Star break, after the Four Nations break, they'll, find their chemistry and their footing.
Yeah. And that's also a team where, they got the goalie. So like, Shesterkin could throw up a 935. You're probably not beating him in the best of 7 series. It just kind of is what it is. So 2 more cards here before I'm done here. Martin Jones with the Sharks. Overall, a solid career, but it looks like his playing days might be over.
That's a career overachiever.
Yeah, and Miro Heiskanen, who unfortunately for the Finns would be on the Finnish team, but he suffered that injury a few weeks ago, and look, Miro Heiskanen, obviously he's a great player. I don't know how much of a difference he would make overall, just because I think Finland's just a little short-handed going up against some of these other teams.
I agree. I think like obviously a guy like Heiskanen is going to help your lineup and make you better. And maybe if they had him, maybe they would have played a little better against the United States. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, like he was not like, it wasn't like, oh, Finland was a favorite and now without Heiskanen, they're not. It was just a bad place you're already thin on the blue line and you lost your bona fide top defender. That was kind of the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah, it kind of is what it is.
There we go. We did a little baseball. We did so plenty of hockey here today. Canada still up 2-0 on Finland here, a little over halfway through the first period. Oh, we got something coming here. Thanks to my thank you, Xfinity, for being so massively delayed. Like, I know I'm on the West Coast here, but I mean, like, let's go here. Like, all right, so Finland's got the puck, bringing it across the red line right now and dumping it in. That's how far behind I am, whatever you got. But
do you need a carrier pigeon to give you a quicker update on this thing?
I mean, it would probably fly the 2,500 miles quicker. There we go. Cross ice pass, rebound. There it is. Right in point. Yeah, this game's over. this game is so over.
Yeah.
Finland's not coming back.
Thanks for coming, Finland. So Canada with a regulation win would clinch a spot in the championship against the U.S.
And it makes USA Sweden totally meaningless. The only way Sweden has any life is if this game goes into overtime. That's all Sweden needs. They get that, then they can win it.
It's not looking good.
Not unless Sasha Barkov or Mikko Rantanen start playing their lights out here, playing the best hockey of their careers. And it's not even like Finland's playing bad. They're just getting outplayed by a team that's better and a team that is desperate to take care of business in 60 minutes today.
Yeah, they're outclassed. It kind of is what it is. If I were Canada, I'd probably give Binnington a little bit of a blow here and get like Aiden Hill in there just to, get him with some reps. I know the championship game's not until Thursday, so you don't necessarily have to worry about like overplaying the guys, but like he's basically played every minute for Canada in the tournament in the crease. So.
I'm going to agree with you here because if the game does get out of hand, like let's say Binnington gets hurt in the first period, Aiden Hill's going to come in and not having played any game action in almost 2 weeks. So I don't think it's the way. If Canada gets up 4-0 here, I don't think it's the worst idea. Even if you wait till the third period just to get Binnington out of there, get Hill a little bit of work, so that way he's at least a little bit limber heading into Thursday and not totally cold off the bench. I could see that. I wouldn't be surprised if Canada adds another one here before the end of the first period. I haven't seen you put like a 4 up yet, so I know nothing's happened yet.
No, nothing yet. Canada was just in the defensive zone a little bit. Now it's a little back and forth action right now.
I'm amazed that like sometimes like we produce for VSiN at night. Sometimes I will be ahead of the feed in the studio, and then there are times I'm massively behind. Like here tonight, I would love to do more digging on why sometimes it is, and it's not a consistent thing. But we're gonna go to show me your best pull today, and here's the two I got. We got the natural Mark McGuire there from the '96 Pinnacle series, and then the Jesper Wallstedt rookie parallel. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at for my pulls of the day. Jared, what did you have?
Honestly, I wasn't really feeling any of mine. I did like the Thomas Harley rookie card, but I think I'm going to go with your pick of Mark McGuire, the natural, only because it's really ironic and funny, insinuating that Mark McGuire did it naturally.
Yeah,
knowing what we know now.
I mean, there was a point where he was doing it naturally, but then he decided to enhance his performance. We'll say
allegedly. So we don't want to get sued.
No, he just enhanced his performance. I'm not going to say how. Nonetheless, that's going to do it for the card pulling section of today. Now, we did talk a little NBA before. Today's starting lineup, figure 5, is actually going to come from the hardwood. Haven't done a basketball one in a while. We'll see if Jared can get this. He's a couple of weeks he hasn't had one. We'll see if he bounces back today. This is indeed a basketball one. And without further ado,
now why basketball?
So the only reason I'm doing basketball is to give it some love, because we did baseball today, we did hockey, we've done plenty of football recently. Super Bowl just wrapped up last week. It was All-Star Week. Basketball deserves a little love. We'll do a basketball pack next week maybe, but for today, let's do a starting lineup, figure 5 basketball player.
All right, fair enough. Is this player a NBA champion?
No.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. Start. Is this player in the Hall of Fame?
No. He had a 6-year career in the NBA. Was a bigger college player than he ever was in the NBA.
Oh God. I already have a lean just from what you said, but did this player go to Duke?
Did not go to Duke.
All right, so it's not.
It's not Christian Laettner.
No, that's where I was going. Did this player primarily play in the Western Conference?
Yes. You're not frozen. You're just thinking.
No,
deep
I'm
here.
not. Well, my brain's frozen. I'm trying because I only got one question left. I'm trying to make it a good one, and I honestly have no freaking clue right now.
It's a tough one. This question could make it.
Did this player win a championship in college?
Let me double check. No, he did not win a championship in college. I will give you his collegiate resume. He did make an NCAA all-tournament team and an all-regional team. He was a Big 8 player of the year, a 3-time all-Big 8 player, a Big 8 tourney MVP, and a 2-time all-Big 8 tourney.
I am never getting the fucking Big 8, period.
So I'm going to throw another not-so-subtle hint at here. He was a big player. Big. Played for a team that has moved since they came into the league.
Is it George Morrison?
Ooh, that was actually a good guess, and I'm surprised they never made a starting lineup out of him, but no, that is not the answer. The reason I kept saying big was his nickname was Big Country, Brian, Big Country Reeves. Big player in college, not so much in the NBA.
If you had said, like, he had a great nickname.
Yeah.
But, like, even then, like, because, yeah, Big Country's a fantastic nickname. It's an S-tier nickname, but yeah, I was never getting Brian Reeves. I mean, come on.
And just because to confirm that he lived up to his nickname, 7 feet tall, 275 pounds. That is a beefy boy at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and with a name like Big Country, I thoroughly expect him to be out in the woods hunting somewhere.
He probably is off the grid, I would imagine. He strikes me as an off the grid guy.
Oh yeah, like he's probably hasn't talked to anybody aside from like immediate family members in the last 10 years.
You've probably seen Bigfoot more recently than Brian Big Country Reeves. No,
you know what though? He probably, even though he only played in the NBA for 6 years, probably made a lot of money in that time in 6 years, and he probably certainly has enough stowed away where he can live comfortably for the rest of his life. So shout out to him.
Former Vancouver Grizzly, did make the all-rookie team in 95-96. He was a 6th overall pick there of Vancouver Grizzlies. That's another city that, maybe gets another kick there. They may want to put a second team in Canada, although I don't see it happening. But nonetheless, starting lineup figure 5 this week is another Four Nations face-off theme. This week we went, I didn't really have any other Finnish players. So Teemu Selanne gets another run this time in his Ducks jersey from the 97 series. We got Mario Lemieux there on the right from the 93. That's also the debut year for the starting lineups there. So he represents Canada. We got Keith Tkachuk there in the old white Kachina jersey representing his 2 sons, Brady and Matthew. And then speaking of Brady, there's Ottawa Senators, Sweden representation there by the great Daniel Alfredson. So good mix of players there for the Four Nations.
Yeah, good mix of players there. I don't really have anything else to add on top of that.
No, and we were doing his live watch here. It's 3-0 Canada over Finland. 3 minutes to go in the first period. This game, you never want to say a game is over, but it kind of has that feeling, doesn't it? Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Probably a duck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pencil Canada in for the championship game on Thursday.
Penciling them in. It looks like they're going to cover that puck line. The over, we'll see. We'll see if the over hits here. I mean, it's 3-0. I could see them going into clampdown mode and just not giving anything up and getting out of there with a 3 or a 4-0 victory. But that'll be that. What do we got coming up on YouTube? Jared, more poker this week?
That's a great question because I have no free time right now to make anything. I do have some shorts in the can, so I'll probably just grab one of those and just throw it up there just so I'm putting something out there.
Stay tuned for that. Also, Devils post Four Nations break. He'll have more articles for you there at allaboutthejersey.com.
Yeah, we're doing trade deadline targets this week. So this week we'll be focusing on the Utah Hockey Club and why it might be time to bring Alex Kerfoot back to Jersey.
You know, it's old habits die hard, and the Utah/Coyotes franchise being a trade deadline source for rentals and acquisitions, that still stays. That hasn't changed. That still is. That still is an old slipper right there. And Total Hockey Now, we're going to be on Wednesday this week. We will preview whatever the Four Nations championship matchup is going to be here. Looking quite like it's going to be a USA Canada. We'll preview it with somebody from the United States and a Canadian and Christopher Merez. So check that out. But that'll do it for this edition of Rip and Riff on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. But for at Mr. Jared Moore, I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Back with you next week with an all-new episode of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel. Probably won't be live. Had some fun doing a little live watch today. Maybe wasn't as competitive as we had wanted, but still good hockey, good baseball, good packs nonetheless. Back with you next week with an all-new episode of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel.